Okay then, so please note that today's meeting may be recorded and broadcast on the authority's website. Any person in view of a camera is by virtue of attending, consenting to being filmed, and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings being used as outlined. Are we recording, please, Erin? Yeah, lovely. Prynawn da, croeso. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council full council meeting on Wednesday, the 11th of February 2026. Apologies for absent. We've received 3. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. Chair, we've got Jeremy Davis, Julia Jenkins and Michelle Simmons.
Lovely. Thank you, Matthew. Right then, declarations of interest.
Madam Mayor, Councillor David Hughes has his hand.
Councillor David Hughes, please.
Just to say that the members' cameras ain't on.
Yeah, they need to put them on after the recording starts. They need to redo it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Okay then. Declarations of interest. Members are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and prejudicial interest in respect of matters contained in this agenda, in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government and Finance Act 1992 relating to council tax, the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Members' Code of Conduct. Members are reminded that they must identify the item number and subject matter that their interest relates to and signify the nature of personal interest, and where members withdraw from a meeting as a consequence of this disclosure of a prejudicial interest, they must notify the chair when they leave. Okay then. We'll go on to... Oh, sorry. Can you say, Chair, please? Right, okay.
Thank you, Chair. Agenda item 5, I will need to declare personal prejudicial interest and leave the meeting. As the report relates to my portfolio area, Councillor Carter as leader will be taking the report in my absence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, agenda item 5, declare personal and prejudicial interest. I have a property within the county borough that's currently empty and unfurnished.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lewis. Any other interest, please? No? Okay then. We move now on to agenda item 3, which is the presentation. Policing strategy for Merthyr Tydfil. To receive a presentation from the South Wales Police and Crime Commissioner, Emma Walls. Okay, Emma, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and Prynawn. Good afternoon, everyone. Can I just check that you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for inviting me to today's full council meeting. It's a real opportunity for me to set out some of the policing priorities that I've set, and particularly the work that we have ongoing in Merthyr Tydfil. I'm joined today by my Chief Executive, Lee Jones, who is going to be driving the presentation for me. And I'm also expecting to be joined by Superintendent Matt Lewis and Inspector Lee Parfitt, so they can address or field any operational questions that may arise. So just waiting for Lee to load the slide deck and check that everybody can see.
Everybody can see
on full screen?
Does that come up?
Yeah, it's not on full screen though. As long as everybody can see it. Okay, so
Okay,
live.
Seems to be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that okay?
Okay, yeah.
Fantastic. So aim of today's presentation then is for me to have an opportunity to set out the policing and crime priorities for the force area, particularly highlighting key highlights from 25-26 in relation to activity within the Merthyr area. I'll also be looking to present an overview or a forward look of some of the focus areas we will be looking to prioritise in 26-27 and give you a brief overview of some of the National Policing Reform agenda. Next slide, please, Lee. So just to remind members in relation to the key statutory responsibilities of the Police and Crime Commissioner role. First and most importantly, I am the representative voice of the public in policing, and importantly, I have the statutory responsibility to set the police and crime priorities for the area, which I'm going to talk to you in a little more detail about. The Chief Constable has a responsibility to pay due regard to the priorities that I set out in my police and crime plan, and it's against those priorities that I hold him to account. Again, the holding to account role is a key element of my responsibilities, and I have a programme of ongoing force, performance and scrutiny challenge. I'm also responsible for setting the policing budget and, importantly, commissioning local services along with partners, particularly relating to crime prevention, victim support services and rehabilitative services. And lastly, I have a responsibility and oversight role within the criminal justice system. Next slide, please, Lee. So the Police, Crime and Justice Plan then, as I've said, that's one of my principal statutory responsibilities in setting out policing and crime priorities for the area. And in March last year, I had the privilege of being able to publish my Police, Crime and Justice Plan. And you'll notice the inclusion of the word justice, and that's in recognition of the responsibility I just referred to in terms of my oversight role of the wider criminal justice system. And I think sometimes that responsibility is not widely understood by partners and the public. The plan was developed and formed following comprehensive consultation. As you can see there, over 5,000 members of the public and professionals engaged with the development of the plan. So I'm confident it reflects both evidence and public mandate in relation to the priorities that I have in my plan. The plan sets out 5 priority areas and 4 cross-cutting themes, and as I've said, I will go through those in detail, all of which are supported by a series of actions and commitments that I have made to deliver against in the period 25 to 29. Lee, next slide, please. So my first priority relates to the visible, connected and responsive community-focused policing, and that is largely focused on ensuring that we protect and enhance our neighbourhood policing offer. There is a targeted place-based approach to tackling crime and antisocial behaviour in hotspots across the force area, and particularly looking at addressing retail crime in collaboration with local businesses. Second priority relates to crime prevention and violence reduction and preventative policing, and the preventative approach is really central to my overall strategy, with 70% of those who responded to my consultation wanting to see a strategic approach that had a mix of both prevention and enforcement. So this focuses on tackling harms such as violence against women, exploitation, and particularly focuses on children and young people who are vulnerable and at risk. Third priority sets out ambition and objectives to protect vulnerable people, including vulnerable communities and those online spaces. And that focuses largely on the ability to identify vulnerable and complex communities and groups, including those affected by serious and organised crime, drugs and county lines, and also those vulnerabilities to violence against women, hate crime and online harms. My fourth priority relates to criminal justice and, importantly, securing improved justice outcomes for victims. Sorry, Lee, could you go back? And concentration on targeted interventions for reducing reoffending. And my commitments are about improving oversight of the victim's journey and compliance with victims' code across the system, but importantly ensuring that we've got the right co-commissioned and collaborative interventions to support victims and to address offender behaviour. And lastly is policing fit for the future. This concentrates largely on ensuring that there is high standards of ethical policing, that I support both the implementation of new technology, but do so in a way that is ethical and held up to scrutiny, but also focuses on that forward look of ensuring that the workforce is also representative of the communities it serves. Next slide, please. I mentioned in my priority in relation to prevention, so priority 2, the focus on children and young people, and I have to say that central to that commitment was the publication of a Children and People's Police Crime and Justice Plan. And again, I heard from the voices of 5,000 young people right across the South Wales area who co-designed this plan, so very much in co-designed with, by and in the language of children and young people in terms of what they wanted to see from policing and partners across South Wales. We set out 6 priorities that we will deliver against, again, all align very clearly to the main police and crime plan and deal with things like improving education and awareness, particularly around online safety, violence, antisocial behaviour and exploitation. Look at strengthening the relationship between policing and education settings, create better ways that young people can have a voice in tackling some of our crime and safety issues, and more importantly, allowing them opportunity and ways to design comfortable and safe ways to engage with local policing and report areas of concern. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just a little bit about my approach since I've come into office, and I mentioned at the top of this presentation that a key responsibility of mine is about being the voice of the public in policing, and to do that I have to ensure that I'm having regular dialogue with members of the public. So to do that I have set out a dedicated programme of engagement visits, regularly visiting local authority areas, visiting high streets, community groups, education settings, local businesses, and community issues and initiatives, and that is for the opportunity to hear directly from local communities about issues of concern, and more importantly to actually test in reality how some of the work and activity of both South Wales Police and partners is impacting on communities locally. Over the course of this programme I've done a number of different visits to the Merthyr area and got to see a range of different programmes and projects, as well as having important walkabouts with local members to understand some of their constituents' concerns and issues. My next visit into Merthyr actually is later on this month, where I'm going to be doing a town centre walkabout to understand the impact of our winter of action, and also I'm the privileged position to be able to provide some funding to the Dowlais Community Centre to support some of their work with children and young people. Next slide, please. Again, this just illustrates some of the feedback from my In Your Community days, and as I've articulated already, some of the feedback or concerns that I've heard include issues around antisocial behaviour, lack of youth provision in certain pockets, but also positively the importance of relationships with PCSOs in different areas, and I've had opportunity, as I've described, to talk to local partners and projects and signpost them to funding opportunities either through my office or through other mechanisms. Next slide, please. So I wanted to just take a few moments to talk about the neighbourhood policing guarantee and how this specifically aligns to priority 1 within my plan in terms of enhancing the neighbourhood policing offer across South Wales. You'll know that UK government, as part of their Safer Streets mission, introduced the neighbourhood policing guarantee with the intention of increasing the number of neighbourhood officers nationally, but more importantly, improving connectivity and responsivity to local communities in relation to problems and around crime and antisocial behaviour. For South Wales, we've been able to benefit from 70 additional neighbourhood policing officers that were deployed as of September of last year, and I understand 24 of those officers have been allocated to the Mid Glamorgan BCU area. And I'm sure operational colleagues can clarify in a bit more detail the specific numbers into Merthyr Tydfil. I will be making over the coming year an absolute focus in terms of scrutiny and performance oversight, that I focus on monitoring the effectiveness of the implementation of the neighbourhood policing guarantee, understanding its importance to local communities. Next area I wanted to highlight to you was the Hotspot Action Fund. This is a grant fund issued to me, my office, by the Home Office to the tune of 1.4 million. And this year, or this financial year, should I say, I've allocated the fund between monies to support increased policing patrols and £600,000 of that money to go towards local problem-solving partnership activity. The Hotspot Fund is aiming at supporting forces and local partners through data to identify hotspot areas for violence, knife crime and antisocial behaviour. We have identified a range of hotspots or hotspot clusters across the force area, of which Merthyr Tydfil town centre is one, and the Gurnos estates sitting slightly outside of that one hotspot cluster. So the additional investment in policing hours, so 1,600 additional hours, have gone into high visibility police patrols this financial year, will be for Merthyr concentrated in those two particular areas. As I said, the element of allocation to partnership activity has also been crucial in terms of complementing those additional policing patrols, and the money has been invested in youth outreach, enhanced CCTV coverage and creation of crime stoppers zones. And I'd just like to take the opportunity to say a big thank you to local authority partners and members who've been part of coordinating and supporting this work. Next slide, please. So complementary to the Hotspot Action Fund have been two coordinated periods of intensification action to respond to seasonal demands. So the Safer Streets Summer Initiative, which ran between June and September, and Winter of Action, which started in December and concluded in January. As I've said, this is intensification of both police enforcement and partnership activity in targeted areas. Merthyr Town Centre being the focal point for both, and involved the aim of reducing antisocial behaviour, retail crime, and tackling violence, with the additionality in the winter of focusing on the nighttime economy also. You can see from the tables there that the initial performance information and indicators show that there's been some real impact in relation to that activity, I think proving that that place-based approach and intensified coordination activity between policing and partners is effective. I won't go through all of those performance outputs, but I'm sure you can see for yourself that there are some really promising and helpful numbers there. Next slide, please. Clear, hold, build, again, a multi-agency strategy deployed to combat serious and organised crime at local level, and is an approach that is absolutely critically dependent on support and collaboration from policing, local authorities, housing, health and community residents. Clear, hold, build has been rolled out in other areas across the force, but you will all know, end of last year, clear hold build approach was established to focus again on Merthyr Town Centre area, and you can see in relation to the impact to date, there's some really promising reductions in relation to key areas of crime and antisocial behaviour. Next slide, please. And just to say, the clear hold build model very much aligns and supports my focus on that place-based policing approach. I wanted to draw your attention to violence prevention and reduction, again a significant priority of mine, and I think violence features in a significant amount of policing demand for South Wales Police, making the case quite clear of the need to try to drive down violence and prevent it at root cause. In December of last year, I officially launched the new South Wales Violence Prevention and Reduction Unit, drawing on learning from the Wales model. This model was introduced to make sure that we are locally focused and robust and responsive to the violence needs within the South Wales area. To support the new operational, I suppose, engine room in terms of the VPRU, we've also established a South Wales Violence Prevention and Reduction Strategic Board co-chaired by myself and the Deputy Chief Constable, Jason Davis. In relation to violence, I continue through the Violence Reduction Grant to make significant investment in evidence-based and trauma-informed interventions, including for the Cwmtaf, Morgannwg area, the Braver Choices, Parallel Lives projects, and continued finance support for Fearless to deliver sessions within schools around knife crime and violence prevention. I'm also really pleased to say that Cwmtaf was chosen as the new pilot site in October of last year for the new Young Futures panel pilot. So my office has invested in setting up these multi-agency panels. Merthyr and RCT are one of the first of a handful of pilot areas across the UK. The model is aimed at identifying and intervening with 10 to 17-year-olds who are vulnerable to involvement in crime and violence. The work and the outputs from the pilot within the Cwmtaf area will go on to inform and shape Wales-specific guidance for the Youth Futures model going forward, and will help inform the establishment of a secondary pilot site in the Cardiff area. I've got some really interesting work developing in relation to violence, and so from a forward look, I am hoping to progress discussions with Cwmtaf University Health Board to establish a third nurse-led violence prevention team in hospital emergency departments. We've had some fantastic results from the violence prevention teams already existing in Cardiff and Vale and in Swansea Bay, and I'm hoping to work with health board colleagues to invest in establishing a violence prevention team in hospital settings in your locality. And lastly, the violence prevention and reduction unit will be continuing to support local partners in the Merthyr and RCT area and their violence prevention board to set out their new strategic needs assessment and a response strategy for violence prevention in the local area. Next slide, please. Just to touch on violence against women and girls, I'm sure you'll all agree it continues to be a significant area of focus, and just to say continues to be one for myself. I will be soon launching a new violence against women and girls action plan that's been co-developed with partners and under the 4 Ps framework to give clear actions to partners across the local area of areas we need to prioritise for VAWG. Particularly, I have an interest in strengthening response to stalking and harassment that I know has been an issue for in terms of local need. across the force area. My Victims Fund continues to provide or invest in a range of services delivered in the Merthyr area, including domestic violence advisors, independent sexual violence advisors, as well as Taboo service that provides advice to victims of police perpetrated abuse. And you will all know Safer Merthyr Tydfil, who has had an ongoing partnership with the South Wales Police and Crime Commissioner's Office and continues to develop our response to VAWG perpetrators across the South Wales footprint, including Merthyr, with services aimed at addressing first-time perpetrators of domestic abuse all the way through to high-risk domestic abuse perpetrators. Next slide, please. So just a bit of a forward look in relation to my priority activity for 26-27 and that will impact on the Merthyr Tydfil area. I continue to support the enhancement of neighbourhood policing offer and implementation of the neighbourhood policing guarantee, and we should see further uplifts in terms of neighbourhood policing numbers. I would be continue to invest in hotspot place-based activity, including the clear hold build model, and hope to work with the force and partners in terms of investment, particularly in that build phase, that it's important in terms of sustaining any positive impact and gains. I will be introducing a new children and young people's lead who will work across the force area at local level to drive work with children and young people, particularly collaborating with schools and youth community groups to deliver the action set out in the Children and Young People's Police Crime and Justice Plan. We will be introducing a new substance misuse intervention service in both Cwmtaf and Cardiff and Vale. That should be mobilised and going live in April of this year. I'll be expanding the investment in victim services to address some of the unmet need that we've identified, particularly for those repeat victims of antisocial behaviour and victims of road traffic incidents. I've mentioned both the VAWG plan and the hope to progress dialogue with Cwmtaf Health Board in relation to the violence prevention teams in the area. And lastly, to say we will be commencing our hate crime and mis and disinformation projects in the coming months. So before I conclude, I just want to invite Lee to give you a bit of an overview of the national context around policing reform before I open up for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and Prananda, good evening, Madam Mayor and councillors. You're probably all well aware of the news in relation to the announcement of the removal of police and crime commissioners post 2028, and also a police reform white paper, which has led to quite a lot of, I think, media speculation as in terms of changes that may or may not happen. So the initiative was announced that the current model would be ending at the end of this term, which is still May 2028. And as the Commissioner's outlined, until that time, the role exists, the legal responsibilities and the commitments linked to the plan that the Commissioner's gone through this evening. The paper, or the white paper, obviously has quite a bit of a journey to go through yet, but it sets out a range of proposals for police governance reform, including the creation of a national police service and a review of force structures. We're obviously key, though, we are trying to influence the discussions on that, particularly for Wales. As you're all well aware, policing is not devolved, so immediately it adds further complications in relation to the position for Wales. But the white paper doesn't give it overly doesn't give us overly lots of guidance in terms of what the proposals will be for Wales, but it does say that there's a commitment there to work closely with Welsh local government, Welsh government forces and partners to ensure the new arrangements provide a strong and efficient governance for Wales, recognising that in essence it is different in Wales, and certainly the Commissioner has taken a strong leadership role in this space in terms of engagement both with Welsh Government ministers and Westminster ministers as well, including the Policing Minister and the Home Secretary. So we are currently working with our partners in Wales and operational policing, of course, to advise on what we think might be the best proposals for Wales. Obviously, there's a long way to go at the moment, but we are keen to ensure that Wales does not lose out, of course. What we do know in England, that for example, that the gold standard model that they're suggesting is a mayoral model, which is unlikely to be the case in Wales. But what we do want to try and ensure is whatever replaces the existing model is at least as good, if not better, as they may have in England, and that importantly as well, it reflects the various concerns and issues of all of Wales's communities, and particularly for ourselves at the moment, for South Wales communities. So we are represented across the national engagement and with this, and also as I said, we are working with the Home Office, Welsh Government and WRJ in particular to shape and inform future arrangements for Wales, as I've laid out. So there's a lot there. We could probably talk for far too long on it. We are currently, just as of today, working with Welsh Government who are assessing lots of potential different options. We're well aware, of course, we have the Welsh Government elections coming up in the not too distant future as well, so that may also alter things slightly, but we to reassure you, we've got a strong voice in there, trying to use our existing experience to influence what may happen in the future. So I'll finish off there and just hand back before questions to the Commissioner. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lee. And just to say that in response to the government's decision not to continue with PCCs beyond 2028, as Lee said, I continue to have all my statutory responsibilities up until that point, and I'm fully committed to delivering against the mandate that I had on election to ensure that I can drive through the priorities that the public have asked me to implement. So I'm just going to pause there and ask whether there are any questions that members wish to raise or ask of either myself or Lee or my operational policing colleagues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emma. Thank you, Lee, for the presentation. We're going to take it to questions now. Appreciate your time. So, Louise Minute votes, please.
Afternoon, Councillor Minor Folks here from Parkwood in Merthyr. My question is in relation to the investment in the targeted hotspot or the place-based activity areas. I just a query, what data do you use when looking at picking what those areas would be, please?
I will defer to my operational colleagues. Oh, is anybody on the line?
Do you want me to take that one, ma'am?
Yes, if you could, Lee, thank you.
Yeah, so basically it's an operation called Operation Sentinel, and it works on an algorithm that takes the crime harm index. So the Cambridge Crime Harm Index will give a score to each crime that could potentially have taken place, but it'll also score antisocial behaviour as well. So, for instance, a shoplifting may score 10 points, whereas a serious assault may score 100. So based on the severity in a square of 300 metres by 300 metres, it will allocate each of those crimes and antisocial behaviour a score, and then that score is what indicates in a hierarchy as to which areas will get that priority for Op Sentinel patrols.
Thank you for that. Madam Mayor, am I okay to come back a sec on that?
Yeah.
It's my only concern, if I'm okay to raise a concern in relation to that, because as ward councillors, we hear quite often residents are scared to report things through, scared to ring things through to the police, fearing repercussions. So obviously as ward members on the ground, we are very aware of hotspots. But then, of course, because you only use that data, you know, and then when you're actually saying this is an area of concern, but then, well, there's no police reports. You know, it's quite challenging where we are advocating residents' concerns. So I was wondering whether there could be consideration where perhaps there would be more involvement with elected members when selecting those hotspot areas, because it may be a completely different picture on the ground than what your algorithm is going to say. That's all I was going to say, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Councillor Geraint-Thomas, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening, Commissioner. In your presentation, you've mentioned quite a bit about youth engagement and involvement going forward, which, you know, we all welcome that. But it just seems to be an imbalance with older people and parents. What engagement are you going to have with older people and parents going forward?
That's a really good point, actually. In relation to parents, my view is that you can't engage effectively with children, young people, without also being able to engage with parents and other trusted adults that are part of those children, young people's lives. So I wouldn't be excluding parents as part of that. In fact, only yesterday I visited a school up in the RCT area to get feedback about a parents' engagement programme that they were delivering. So engagement with parents is absolutely critical. In relation to older people, again, we have work already ongoing in trying to understand the vulnerabilities of older people in particular, and I know that both the online space and in the violence against women and girls space, they are both two important areas of which we are considering the needs of older people. And if you picked up from my presentation, I'd said about the need to expand victim services, and that's because we've identified through our needs assessment of victims some unmet need, particularly in relation to that older people cohort. So that work is ongoing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Any further questions? Councillor Clive Jones, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm one of the members, the other member from Parkwood as well. I chair the PAC meeting every month, and in our ward we have the Chwefror retail park, which is very busy. We get reports from officers who attend the PAC meetings constantly about the number of thefts that are taking place, retail establishments. And I'm aware, Madam Mayor, that it's not just in Merthyr Tydfil, it's a national issue. So I know the police have been involved and back and forth, but it's a huge task. What are we doing? Well, the retail parks in my ward, but obviously we've got a lot of shops throughout the country. But what is being actively done to try and help these businesses who are, you know, in difficulties? They can have CCTV cameras, but it's a huge problem.
Thank you, Councillor. I again will go to my operational colleagues first to give an outline of activity in relation to tackling retail crime, and I will follow up afterwards. Matt, did you want to come in?
Well, Commissioner, evening, Chair, everybody. So yeah, just I think at this point, just worth mentioning the investment that we've made in our safer neighbourhood teams. So across South Wales, we've invested in the SNTs. In Merthyr, we've invested in a sergeant and 6 constables, and one of their key roles is is around that retail theft, retail crime. They cover Merthyr and the Cynon, so as the two sectors. They were put in place on the 5th of January, and we've seen some incredible results, really, really incredible. A lot of excellent work in Merthyr, and there's a big focus on retail crime. There's a link to the neighbourhood policing guarantee. Lee may be able to provide additional detail, but we're already seeing some positive signs from that investment.
Thank you, Matt. And just to follow up with that, my team are also engaged with and working with local business partnerships, and I've got the opportunity, being the chair of the local criminal justice board, as well, to take issues around retail crime. So the fantastic work that operational policing does in relation to arresting some of those shoplifters is about making sure that the rest of the partnership response is there to support the needs of those individuals, or to make sure that the necessary convictions and or sentences are applied. So we are very, very live to the issue, and as Matt has just illustrated, pockets of really targeted work have shown really real benefits, but this is very much a whole system response required.
Glad to see there's some good news, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Bill Smith, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. I think we met before Christmas. I'm from the Goodness. I know we're a second hotspot in the county borough. And we did explain to you the problems we have overall. And we've got good police officers. But their hands are tied because they're running around chasing these youngsters who've got e-bikes travelling everywhere. And also these youngsters on motorbikes. Now, somebody just mentioned how we're going to cope with the older persons. Now, some of these bikes are tuned up, and it's frightening. Some of the older persons telling us they go up the road so fast and so noisy that you're in the house. And sometimes, what happens, bit of noise comes. So I know you had a problem down in Cardiff, down in Ely. But can we readdress that? Because all that's been taken to court and they proved the point. But I think we got to look at it serious, because the bikes and e-bikes are everywhere. So can you explain to me why we're not doing it, or can we do it?
Thank you, Councillor, and just to say a big thank you for making me so welcome up in the Gurnos and taking me for a walkabout to understand some of the issues that residents are facing. Again, I'm going to go to operational police colleagues to outline the tactical activity that's happened in relation to e-bikes and e-scooters, and then follow up after. Matt, did you want to come in?
Yes, Commissioner, I'll probably defer to Lee, but I'll just reference Op Clutch, which is the name of one of the operations that targets this sort of activity. Lee's been here a little bit longer than me. I only joined in December, so Lee can give some of the detail there if that's in order.
Lee?
Yep, thank you. Yes, so Operation Clutch is a multi-agency approach to tackling off-road vehicles. So what we look at doing, rather than issuing police vehicles on the streets of Merthyr Tydfil, where inevitably if we see a bike and they make off from us, it increases not only the risk to the driver but also to other members of the public. We are now utilising the CCTV that is heavily fixed across the Merthyr County Borough Council ward to capture these individuals with facial recognition software then used to identify who these persons are. Then we will identify their home address, we will visit them, we will report them for the offences, and if the vehicles are there, then we will seize them and take them and crush them. In relation to progress so far, it started around June of 25, and it is still running currently today, where we've got an operational Teams channel between the CCTV room and local police officers to share that information and intelligence so that we can target these individuals. So far to date, we've had 22 persons reported for summons, 2 antisocial behaviour referrals into that ASB process, 2 youths referred to our Youth Justice Services for out of court progress, and we've also then seized 4 vehicles, which then, as a consequence, immediately get disposed of and crushed. These vehicles are a pain. They're not registered. They're off-road vehicles that are being used in our streets. It was raised earlier in a meeting with Paul Lewis from the council and elected members, where the chair was Declan Salmon, in relation to potentially supporting, which I think has been shelved, a bill to actually have these off-road vehicles registered, so that at the point of sale, like we do with those vehicles that carry vehicle registration marks, actually you have to provide a license and registration details so that we can actually track the owners of these vehicles when they commit crime. So that is something that we discussed earlier, and hopefully will progress through to full council meeting in due course as an agenda item.
Okay,
Can I
thank
come
you.
back, Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
The other question I got, how do we work with the social housing? Because the Goodness is 99% social housing. So how do we work in Merthyr Valley Homes? Because some of these things, most of these things says are tenants. You know, and the housing policy is that anybody keeps the e-bikes in the house, it could be evicted because they catch fire. So how do we sort that out?
Lee or Matt, could we address how you're working with social housing?
Yeah, again, this was discussed today with registered social landlords represented at the meeting, with regards to using it as a multi-agency approach. So if once we identify a rider, we will share that information and intelligence with those registered social landlords so that they can take retrospective action using their civil regulatory powers. I understand that actually going for warnings or seizures of premises, etc., is extremely difficult in the times that we're currently living in. However, what we're looking at doing is ensuring that these individuals that are causing the most harm in our communities, that we work together, use the powers that we've got jointly to tackle and disrupt their activities moving forward. So these conversations are being had at regular meetings, both the problem-solving group meetings and community safety board meetings, and I assure you that any individuals found breaking the law by using these bikes not only will get a visit from the police, but also referrals to the registered social landlords to take retrospective action. And we're also working in conjunction with South Wales Fire and Rescue Service as well to add weight to these individuals who are committing these crimes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor David Hughes, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For the police commissioner, there used to be a motorbike unit which was stationed down at Corriton, I believe, but they have been disbanded. Can you tell me if there's any possibility of this starting up? Because we got a lot of problems with off-road biking, and obviously cars can't chase off-road bikes, but motorbikes can. So is there any scope that you're looking for bringing them back?
If with your agreement, Councillor Hughes, I'll take that away to explore all the circumstances as to why that was stopped, and then whether or not there is anything that we can consider in conjunction with the Chief Constable about re-establishing that. So I need to understand a little bit more information about the function that you said used to be there.
Yeah. And I got one more, if I may, Madam Mayor. You said about you start a substance misuse service as part of your ongoing programme. There's already a substance misuse service running Merthyr and Aberdeen, which is Gored, I believe, or used to be Drug Aid. Do you think that by duplicating the system is a waste of money, rather work with the system that's already running in the area?
So I already, alongside my colleagues from Prison and Probation Service, commission a substance misuse service specifically targeted to those who are engaged in the criminal justice system. So I think the services that you refer to, Councillor Hughes, locally are for those who are not going through the criminal justice system and would be a referral pathway out of our service back into community. My want and ambition is for criminal justice and community services to integrate in a co-commission way, but unfortunately our contracts didn't quite align, so we've had to recommission again, but I will be in ongoing dialogue with both local authorities and health boards around the opportunity of integrating. So in Swansea Bay we've got the opportunity to test a fully integrated service, but I think for Cwmtaf and Cardiff and the Vale in the meantime we'll be strengthening the collaboration between all services locally and making sure that there is a seamless referral pathway in the absence of being able to jointly pool funds and co-commission that contract. But that would be my overall ambition. I may not get the opportunity though to get that in place before the end of my term.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I am conscious of the time with the questions, so I'm going to go to Councillor Claire Jones on the question and move on to comments because I don't see any more hands up. Okay, everybody okay with that? Yeah, Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, can I just say thank you for all of you taking the time and giving us the presentation today. I don't know whether I missed part of the presentation because I did have a technical error. Did you mention modern day slavery? Because I do feel that modern day slavery at the moment is quite pertinent within the borough, and I didn't know whether I missed those words.
I didn't mention it explicitly, but talked more about exploitation and vulnerability. So absolutely take your point, Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, then we'll go to comment. Also, is there any further questions, Councillor Jones? No,
thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to comments now then, please. Councillor Jamie Scrivens, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you and just to specifically comment on the plan in place you'll have with children and young people. So I see you've got the CYP lead you'll be putting in place, and he's specifically talking about working with schools. But what I would say is be pertinent to make sure that that officer then is working with youth services, participation networks, because I'm going to what my colleague just said as well about modern day slavery. You know, this has been an issue particularly with young people for many years, and from predominantly back, I think it was 2014, this area, the Junior Local Safeguarding Children's Board, where we set up and they created a training product for child sexual trafficking and all those things called caught in traffic. I think CTS picked up at the time to use as a training resource. Because I understand working with the school is important, but I think those services, since we lost the JLSCBs, have been so pertinent in making sure that those focused interventions that we can't really get through schools are working in participation networks and youth service. So it looks like it's all great work. I just wanted to put that comment out there to make sure that that's also included in the scope of what they look at doing. But thank you, and I really appreciate the presentation this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Scrivens. Councillor Declan Salmon, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, we've been given an overview of the South Wales Policing Policy and had all the questions answered. So thank you very much to everyone for that. Inspector Lee Parfitt has mentioned already that there was a meeting this morning, which was the Merthyr Tydfil Community Partnership Board, which, to be honest, went really well. There was a lot of matters raised on that. The meeting was attended by the police, the council, registered social landlords, fire service, licensing department and others. And this will be for more local issues, but obviously some that have been mentioned today, like off-road biking and that sort of thing. I know that it's my role to feed back to elected members. I have asked for the minutes to be sent to everyone involved in that meeting. I know Paul Lewis has already sent those minutes for all members of the meeting today to look through to make sure they're okay, accurate, and the information in them is allowed to go out. So when they're all collated and come back, I'll be sending them out to elected members. Just some actions have been brought up today as well that I've got to contact members on and ask for their input so we can feed back to another board, and all the actions from that will come back as well to give information to elected members. I think one of the things I last mentioned, it came out of today, it was there's a lot of good work happening out there by everyone, but it just needs to be it just needs for that information to be put out to the public and for everyone to be aware of it. And I think that's one of the difficulties at the moment.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Salmon. Councillor Carter, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just before I think Councillor Salmon hit the nail on the head. I don't think we sing enough about the good things we're actually doing. I think we could all be far better at that. So I think that's a good point that we need to work on. But good evening, Emma, Matthew and Lee. Thank you for coming to this evening. I won't talk in detail about the Merthyr Together initiative, which is aka Clear Whole Build, but just to say it's been an overwhelming success thus far. But we all know this is just the start of the journey. Please can you pass on my continued thanks to the team in Merthyr VCU for their hard work and dedication, who I know complement and work extremely well with our excellent community safety team. Lastly, Emma, can I thank you for the presentation this evening? It's been very informative. Your approach to the role has been refreshing. You have been visible, open, honest and available, not only to myself, but also to the wider community. So thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you.
Okay. Just let me say thank you very much for the presentation this evening, for taking the questions from the members and also take on board any comments made. Thank you again all, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay then, on to agenda item 4, minutes from previous meetings. These items are to approve and enter into the record the draft minutes of meetings previously circulated to committee members with a request to confirm accuracy. The minutes are 14th of January 2026 full council. Do we have a mover, please?
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to move the minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Do we have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Are there any comments on the accuracy of the minutes, please? No? Okay, we'll take that to the vote then, please.
So could all councillors who are in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? Okay, thank you. If you lower your hands, please. Are there any councillors not in agreement, please, if they could raise their hands? And any councillor wishing to abstain, if they could raise their hands. Those minutes are carried, Chair.
Thank you very much. We move on to agenda item 5. Councillor Anna Williams and Councillor Gareth Lewis, please leave. Okay, agenda item 5, council tax premiums on long-term vacant and periodically occupied dwellings. To consider the report of the Director of Finance, Leader Councillor Brian Carter, can I invite you to address the council, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 3.3, the Billing Authority, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council, is required to make a determination to vary or revoke a determination under Section 12A, long-term empty properties, and Section 12B, second homes, prior to the start of each financial year. The proposed under-council tax premiums on long-term vacant and periodically occupied dwellings is for the current premiums to remain the same for 26-27. This is based on the evidence that the Revenues Department have had greater customer engagement and which has resulted in guidance and assistance to help reduce the taxpayers' council tax liability where applicable. In addition, the introduction of a stage premium charge in 25-26 has certainly encouraged homeowners to bring their properties back into use. And also then in the table you will see when the council tax premium was first introduced on the 1st of April 23, it didn't initially have the impact that we were hoping for in encouraging homeowners to bring their properties back to use. However, this financial year, the number of premium properties have reduced significantly from 365 at the 1st of April 2025 to 271 at the 31st of January 26. This is largely due to a significant increase in the number of empty properties that are up for sale. As the premium charging structure is currently being proven to be successful, the proposal for 26-27 is for the premium charges to remain as follows. Section 12A, long-term empty. In respect of domestic dwellings under Section 12A, long-term empty unfurnished dwellings, the proposal is to continue to charge a council tax premium for the 1st of April as follows. 100% premium charge for property that has remained vacant for more than 1 year but less than 5 years. 150% premium charge for property that has remained vacant for more than 5 years but less than 10. 200% premium charge for property that has remained vacant for more than 10 years. And Section 12B, second homes. In respect of domestic dwellings under Section 12B, the periodically occupied second homes, the Council has previously resolved from the 1st of April 24 to apply a council tax premium charge of 100%. This report proposes that the council tax premium continues to be charged at 100% from the 1st of April 26 on dwellings within this class. In terms of legislation changes, the report also encompasses under point 3.5 a number of legislative changes which will come into effect from the 1st of April 26. If we wish to have any clarification in this report and the context within, Mr. Mark Price, our Revenues Manager, is present here this evening to answer any questions. Madam Mayor, I'm happy to move the recommendations set out on page 10 of the report, number 2.1 to 2.6. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder, please?
After second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Then we go on to questions then, please. Any questions? Councillor James Scribbins, please.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just two questions. My first one is in relation to 6.8. It's just the figures and the software costs. I just wondered if you could expand a little bit on what those costs went towards. When you say software, what was needed for that?
Sorry, Councillor, I was just to accept the video.
Okay.
We had to buy additional software to be able to evaluate the income that was being generated from charging the council tax premium. The software system, with the introduction of it, wasn't as accurate as what it is, currently. So all the local authorities within Wales purchased a similar software, obviously with the same software provider, to allow us to record and present to our accountancy department a true and accurate reflection of revenue that is actually collected, for council tax premiums under the classifications as what's in the report.
Okay, good. So with that, Mark, is there cross comparison data in terms of how that looks against other authorities? How are we performing?
Not as yet. It's
Right.
Still early days, or with regards to that. The analysis that I've done previously, it is that a collection rate is roughly about 94.5% overall in year, and the collection rate on the council tax premiums is around about 75%. So you can see it's actually pulling the overall collection rate down. However, when I'm actually looking at the revenue was generated, it was about 595,000 was generated through council tax premiums last year, and at the moment, as we speak, on the 31st of January, was 525. So we're on an equal par to where we were last year. So even though that there's been a reduction, as what's been highlighted by Councillor Carter there, you can see that the amount of revenue has been generated for it. Yes, okay, for the purpose of it is bringing properties back into use, but there is still revenue that is being generated and being put back into the council coffers.
Yeah, that's my last question, Madam Mayor. My second question was just in regards to obviously the medium to long term impacts, and so obviously towards the end of the report it's talking about the negative impacts, especially on the council tax arrears. So the idea is over a medium term financial plan we'll be averaging 5% just based on calculations till the next term, and I imagine it'll be the same in the next administration as well, whoever that is. But are you expecting this will have a significant impact on the council tax arrears and the collection rates for each year? How is that looking at the moment now?
Are you talking about these particular properties, or are you talking overall?
Well, specifically, yes, on those who are impacted by this premium and how that's affecting them in terms of the council tax collection rate and arrears.
Even though that there's a significant increase, for these specific properties, as what's been highlighted, the various charges there, then the number of people that are actually paying is no different to that of what a normal council tax payer. So I wouldn't say that the council tax premiums and the introduction of them is adversely affecting us to a large extent. Yes, okay, there are some that don't pay, but that could be labelled against just a general council taxpayer that don't pay their council tax on time. So I wouldn't say that it's actually adversely affecting the overall arrears that we've got currently.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Councillor Scrivens. Any further questions then, please? We'll go on to comments then. Any comments, please? Councillor Carter?
If nobody else wants to comment, Madam Mayor.
Anybody going to comment before I bring Councillor Carter in? No? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mark, can I thank you for the comprehensive report this evening, and also thanks to you and the team for all your hard work. It's very much appreciated by everyone. Thank you.
Okay.
I convey your comments. Thank you.
We'll take that to the room, please.
Yes, so could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? Thank you. Yeah. So if there are any councillors not in agreement with their hands, and if any councillor wishing to abstain, they could raise their hands. And that is carried, Chair.
Okay, lovely. Okay, we move on to agenda item 6. Update to the internet. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay.
They've gone to the boardroom.
Someone look at that? I don't know where that is.
Thanks, Ellie.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So, agenda item 6 is an information report only. It's the update to the Internet Acceptability Use Policy to include artificial intelligence. The AI report has been listed under committee reports, which should have been listed as information because the Information Governance Forum has delegated powers to update the policy. As an information report, it does not need debate or a vote, so we will move on to the next agenda. Thank you. Agenda item 7, committee report. Trecarty Landfill Site Profit Share. To consider the report of the Director of Finance, Councillor Anna Williams-Price, could I invite you to address the Council, please?
Thank you, Chair. This report provides an update on funds received under the Trecarty Profit Share Agreement. Members will be aware that we've not received income from this source for some time. The background and history are set out within the report. For information, we do not expect this to become a regular or ongoing income stream. However, the total amount received is £492,067.79. The allocation of this fund is to be determined through debate at Council this evening. However, as an administration, we've outlined a proposed distribution methodology at section 4.1 of the report. This methodology, if agreed, would allocate £65,000 to be split across each electoral division. Ward councillors would then determine distribution within their own areas, similar though not identical to the Frost of Fran small grant process. In line with previous practice, Dowlais and Pant Ward would receive an additional £10,000 compared with other wards. The suggestion is then that the remaining balance, approximately £427,000, will be held centrally to help mitigate the pressures arising from the end of shared prosperity funding. The conclusion of SPF and the shift towards a new model of investment through the Local Growth Fund represent a significant change with rapid transition towards capital-focused funding. This unexpected income provides us with an opportunity to cushion the impact of that transition. I recognise that members are keen to understand more detail about the end of SPF, the implications for funded projects and the impact on staff. Further information will be provided to members at the appropriate time. This evening's debate, however, should focus on the principle of retaining this income centrally to mitigate the loss of SPF, and should Council agree this approach, more detailed proposals for utilisation of the retained funds will follow. So finally, I ask members to remain mindful that discussions relating to affected posts are currently subject to an ongoing HR process involving staff and trade unions, and it is right that this process is given time to conclude. So I will move the recommendations found at 2.1, which is that this report be received, and 2.2, Council determines the request for the allocation of the funds as outlined. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder, please?
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to second the report and happy to move an amendment to recommendation 2.2, which will conclude that Council approves £5,000 to be allocated to each of the 11 electoral divisions, a further £10,000 to be allocated to the Dowlais electoral division for inconvenience suffered, and the £427,067.79 to be retained centrally to mitigate against loss of shared prosperity funding.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we'll move to first. Second. Oh, sorry.
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Second, thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor David Hughes, then, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could someone tell me why their money has come in this year and not in the previous 10 years? Is there a specific reason why?
Thanks, Councillor David Hughes. We did try and seek clarification from the organisation on this, and if Craig's online, you might be able to provide some more detail.
Certainly, thank you, Cabinet Member.
Okay.
Yeah, we contacted BIFA Profit Share. As it says within the report, where there is negative cash flow, there is no redistribution of profit. During 24-25, they highlighted that 2 operators were up to capacity, and therefore there was increased usage of the Tricati, and therefore there's profit share available for that financial year. As the Cabinet Member has also highlighted, they are not expecting that, well, the performance in 25-26 is not as it was in 24-25, and they're not expecting profit share in 25-26.
So can I come back, Craig?
Yeah, okay.
So that's the only reason that the operating, there was more operating, more things happening up on site. Is that correct now? Because I viewed something else, but carry on.
That's the information that was relayed by the financial analyst from BIFA with regards to 2 operators who were unable to take full capacity and were able to provide that provision through 24-25.
Okay.
Thank you. That's
Thank you. Thank you, David. Councillor Lisa Mitten, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First off, Madam Mayor, it's not a point of correction or anything, but I just need to remind the Cabinet Member that this isn't specifically about SPF jobs and roles. We understand that a number of people have been given their redundancy notices, and I'm sure that we're all accepting that that is a sad circumstance, but I need to be very clear that where a Cabinet Member asked us to be mindful of that, we are all, I'm sure, mindful of that, but this is about the BIFA and Tricati funds and an element of SPF funding, not people's roles specifically. So I just wanted to say that. I'm going to give you a little narrative before I come to my questions, Madam Chair, if you'll allow me. What I want to know is how we expected to vote on this proposal tonight if we have no detail, yet again, similar to a report we had in another council recently, whatsoever about a significant, nearly £500,000 being held back to mitigate, as it says, against SPF. Now, we are all being asked to approve the retention of a significant amount of money with no information yet to go. Yet again, this directly contradicts the original intent of these funds. I've been here a long time. They should reach and support our communities. I've no doubt that there are elements of SPF that do that, and hopefully we can support that in the future. But there's no clarity in this report on how we're going to do that. At the moment, we're essentially being asked to sign off a blank cheque. So what I want to ask and what I want answers on are, what specifically is that 427,000 intended for? Why is there no detail in this report yet again? Where is the evidence of impact? What SPF projects were great, were good? Where's their impact? What are we supporting? You know, what are we sustaining? And how does this align with the commitments made to our communities under the Tracati policy and proposal? Because that was to come out to the awards. So whereas we've got the 5,000 going to the awards, and we've always supported that additional monies going to Dowlais, this is very short-sighted, because we're losing Fossa Fran next year. This should be to help us as local councillors within our specific ward. So I'd like some answers on that, please. Thank you. I'm happy to reiterate those 3 questions again.
Just going to take the questions, please. Can you answer on the SPF?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Minton. Just in terms of the SPF, the post-assessment evaluations of the programmes is going through the team, and every other authority is in the same position now. So when that information is available, we'll be able to report on the previous year in terms of how project performance has gone. I just know that that's all being collated at the moment, so that information is not available to share at this moment in time.
So Jamie, just on that point, thank you ever so much for that information. I do understand that, and I welcome that. You know, we really do want to see these projects go ahead with a number of other funds that we have, but that doesn't answer where £427,000 is going to be signed off by us tonight or voted upon, where that is going. We're basically giving £427,000 out of our hands as a blank cheque. To what? Thank you for that, Jamie.
Yes.
Thanks, Councillor Minton. So again, just to clarify, the vote tonight is not to agree funds that will be contributed towards specific projects. It's to agree the principle of the need to retain this income centrally to mitigate the loss of SPF as that issue develops. If Council were to agree that tonight, we would be able to bring more detailed proposals forward on the specifics of how that money would be utilised.
Then, Cabinet Member, the principle of tonight's report should have been that we should do that when we have that information in front of us. The principle of SPF, I'm sure, will be supported by everybody, but it's significant to support a £427,000 based on principle alone. It's ridiculous. It is not transparent. It is not open. It is not telling the residents of Merthyr Tydfil where this money is going. And you're asking us to vote on that tonight. We'll just sign it off and vote it, and then we'll decide. This is not proper due process, Chief Executive. It is not.
We need to move on to
It is a question, Councillor Clive Jones, I think that was. Apologies, it's very difficult in teams. Can I just make this as a point of order for our monitoring officer as well? If somebody interrupts while they're in that conference room there, Madam Mayor, I would suggest that they hold back on that, because they can't just chip in. We have a vote in and a hand. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
That's taken on board, Councillor Minton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Appreciate it.
Okay, can we go on to Councillor Geraint Thomas then, please?
Lisa's asked a few of the questions, but I got one. So, in previous years, when we've had profits available to share, where has that money gone?
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Obviously, it precedes my time as even a councillor. I think there's been a real mix of decisions made around the use of this funding. In bringing this report together, there was a review of what previous reports have been brought forward historically. So I'll defer to the leader perhaps to provide more insight on the history of it.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Thomas. Sadly, I've been around just as long as Councillor Mitten in terms of length of tenure, so I do know a little bit about the BIFA profit share. In previous years, they've been very similar to this, where the extra money has gone into other projects like Citizens Advice, Merthyr Food Bank, to name but a couple of things. You know, we could look back at previous reports and get that information for you if you so wish. But that's just to give you a flavour.
Yes, please, Brent, that would be useful. Because I've only seen one for 2016, and all that was shared out to the wards, every bit of it, right? So, and it's a community fund, so I'll wait. I'll speak more in comments.
Okay. Are there any further questions then? Where did everybody go? No. We'll go to comments then, please.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, can I just come in? Sorry, I couldn't get my camera off then quick enough. Sorry, do you mind if I just clarify something?
No, it's
So
fine.
in terms of the previous, so I'd follow on from what the leader said and Councillor Mitten's point. So in previous, we looked at all previous reports in terms of the use of BIFA funds, and essentially there's been a various swathe of uses across the various reports in time gone by, as much as whilst ward allocation has been some years, actually council tax, offsetting council tax in other years. So it's for council to debate the use of it. Essentially, that's the reports in front of you tonight.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lisa Mitten, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're on comments now, yeah, and observations. Can I just give a nod to the leader and the chief executive for giving that explanation? I think the difference is to those reports going back prior to 2016 is they had the devil in the detail. We knew what we were voting on, and that is the point I'm making tonight. So you're quite right, leader, and you're quite right, chief, that where we had those reports in front of us, we knew where those funds were then being allocated because those reports were detailed and specific. I'm sure you're all aware of the acronym SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound. We've had 2 reports come to this council now, not necessarily the cabinet members' fault on that, I have to say, but 2 reports that have come to this council now, not transparent, not open, not clear and absolutely not smart. The BIFA funds, the Dracati funds, you know, we haven't had for 10 years. And that's the point I was making. You know, we all want to support wherever we can with SPF, but we need that detail. And we all want to do whatever we can to support our communities. And where I'm saying that it's short-sighted is because it's only looking at the short term. We're always doing this. We need to look at sustainable things. We're looking at the short-term gap filling all the time. And what I mean by that is to give each ward £5,000 this year. Well, it's drained, it's gone. Next year we're losing Fossil-Fran. So come sort of 18 months, 2 years, all of these councillors who support a number of variety of different things from those will have zero. We'll have nothing. So I think we should have thought that through a little bit longer rather than just gap fill SPF that we have no detail on. But thank you for listening and thank you for the answers to the questions.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Councillor Geraint-Thomas, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, I'm aghast, right? I'm aghast at what we've been asked to do tonight. You know, why are we, right, as councillors representing the Merthyr Tydfil public, being asked to stopgap or put money into SPF, right? At the end of the day, Welsh Labour government and UK Labour government should be working together to make sure those post-European funds are in place. Now, if we were to give that money tonight, right, that £420,000, sorry, into to stopgap SDF, it should be like a bridging loan. So when that money does come in from UK government and Welsh government and then down to us, right, they can pay it back into the community, right? You know, we can't support this tonight. It's a ridiculous ask. It's a shocking ask, to be fair, right? It's not fair on the general public.
Okay.
There's comments.
Yeah, around comments, yeah. So if I go to Anne and I'll close up the debate, no? Is there anybody else? Councillor Declan Salmon, please.
Thank you, Chair. Shouldn't really be saying this, but I can completely understand Councillor Lisa Mitton's comments and frustrations, to be honest. There should have been an exempt report so that all members had all the details. As a cabinet member, I'm in a privileged position, if you want to call it. We know where the money is intended to be spent, and I can't vote against that, to be honest. But I do think that maybe everyone should know.
Is there any other comments other than Councillor Price? No? Councillor David Hughes, please.
I'd like to thank Councillor Salmon for his comments there and agree with him that we all should know where the money's going. You know, we supposed to be open and transparent here. We should know where that money's going. If you want us to vote for it, you should tell us where money's going. And I agree with and I thank Councillor Salmon because that's putting him in a difficult position here to say things like that. So thank you very much.
Okay, any further Any further comments from anybody else before I take it to Councillor Price, please? No? Councillor Price?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in summary, I appreciate people's comments, and just to stress, we have reflected heavily on the timing and the level of detail we're able to provide in the report at this stage. And I do want to clarify and assure members that they will have the opportunity to vote on the specifics of how this fund is used as things progress. Thank you.
Okay, so just for clarity, the remaining money will be debated on where it goes, and every member will have that say.
There'll be further detail on how the specific allocation will be used in due course, yes.
And will they have an input on that?
There will be a vote on that matter.
Right, okay. Okay then, so we've gone to questions, gone to comments. We need to go to the vote then, please.
Okay, so the vote is on the amendment. So could all councillors in agreement with the amendment that went up, please raise their hands. Okay. Lower those hands, please. Got two hands. Councillor Smith, could you both lower your hands, please? There's still legacy hands, so I could go to those councillors not in agreement with the recommendation. Please raise their hands. Okay, then lower those, please. Any councillor wishing to abstain, if they could raise their hand. Thank you. The amendment is carried, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, then on to agenda item 8, committee report. Corporate risk policy and strategy. To consider the report of the Director of Governance and Resources. Councillor Declan Salmon, can I invite you to address the council, please?
Chair. Following an annual review, the Council's risk management policy and strategy has been updated in line with the internal audit recommendations and feedback from Governance and Audit Committee and Scrutiny. The corporate risk policy and strategy was approved by Council in December 2024, and as part of that policy was set out for the review to be done after 12 months, which is the document you can find in Appendix 1. During this annual review, it has been decided that how the Council identifies, assesses and responds to risks, together with the risk appetite, will stay the same, but will be reviewed again halfway through the next financial year. One recommendation, Madam Mayor, and it's 2.1, the Council's risk management policy and strategy in Appendix 1 be approved. I so move.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to questions then, please. Any questions? No? Any comments then, please?
Madam Mayor, sorry.
Sorry, Councillor Salmon.
If nobody else has.
Nobody else now? No? Okay.
Just quickly, so thank you to Andrew Mogford and his team for the work they've done in producing this report and the work on the Council's risk management policy. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Salmon. We'll take it to the vote then, please.
Okay, so could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? Oh, yes, thank you. You could lower your hands, please. So any councillor not in agreement because they raised their hand? And any councillor wishing to abstain, if they could raise their hand, please. That is carried, Chair.
Okay, thank you. On to agenda item 10, committee report. Appointment of Director of Education. To consider the report of the Chief Executive. Sorry? Office.
No.
Sorry,
committee structure.
Sorry. Sorry. Agenda item 9, Democratic Services Committee structure. To consider the report of the Director of Governance and Resources, Councillor Declan Salmon, can I invite you to Council, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's really short introduction. The purpose of this report is to change the structure of the Democratic Services Committee to include all the scrutiny chairs. All scrutiny chairs have agreed to being included in the new structure. In accordance with the Council's constitution, full Council is required to consider and approve the roles and titles of each of its scrutiny committees. Now, there is a change to the wording in the recommendations to reflect the name of the new scrutiny committee. So 2.1 should read, the functions of the Democratic Services Committee shall be carried out by the Sustainable Scrutiny Committee with the inclusion of the 3 other scrutiny chairs. I so move. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, please?
I'd like to second the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to questions then, please. Any questions? Any comments then, please? No comments?
Madam Mayor, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, just quickly is to thank Anne Taylor and the Democratic Services team for the report and for all the work they've done behind the scenes in the work of the Democratic Services Committee. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We'll take it to the vote now then, please.
Okay, so could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation as amended, please raise their hand. Okay, thanks. And so any councillor not in agreement, if they could raise their hand. No. And any councillor wishing to abstain, if they could raise their hand. That is carried, Chair.
Thank you then. Thank you. Right again. Agenda item 10, committee report. Appointment of Director of Education. To consider the report of the Chief Executive Leader, Councillor Brian Carter, can I invite you to address the Council, please?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. This report is with us tonight for the Council to approve the appointment of a new Director of Education. The process began in November when we appointed Gattonsby Sanderson as our recruitment consultants to ensure we obtain the best possible candidates, especially considering RCT were recruited at the same time. As you can see in 4.3, 16 applications were received, 4 invited for technical interviews, from which 3 proceeded to the next stage. They were then put through a robust process of being assessed by elected members, head teachers, and then grilled by a young person's panel before they proceeded to the final stage. Can I at this point thank everyone involved for their time and contribution to this process. All 3 candidates were credible. However, Ryan Morgan performed exceptionally well at the panel appointment and therefore became the panel's recommendation. Madam Mayor, that was a brief summary of the process, and in conclusion, I'm happy to move the recommendation as set out in 2.1 of page 93 of the report that reads, the appointment of the Statutory Director of Education be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder, please?
Happy to second the recommendation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We're going on to questions then. Do we have any questions, please? No? No questions? Any comments then, please? No comments? Sorry. Lisa, Councillor Lisa Mitten, please.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, and as you were fully aware, that is your little friend, Teddy Mitten. Let me just say that I do apologise. No, I just wanted to thank all of the staff and obviously the team that we used really for the recruitment process. I was there alongside Geraint, Jamie and Gareth and the leader and the chief executive as well. So, you know, thank you for that robust process and very best wishes to him in the new role as well as chair of Aspirations Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Councillor Geraint-Thomas, please.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo Lisa's comments there and, you know, welcome Ryan to the team and hope and wish him well for the future because he's got some big shoes to fill in Sue when she finally retires.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Thomas. Any more comments? Councillor Jill Preston, please.
I'd like to wish Ryan all the best in his new position.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, then we'll move on to the vote then, please.
So, with all councillors in agreement with the recommendation, please raise their hands. Thank you. If any councillor not in agreement, they could raise their hand. And anyone wishing to abstain, if they could raise their hands. And that's carried, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 11, information report, petitions received by the authority. Agenda item 12, to deal with any other urgent business or correspondence, there is none. Agenda item 13, to receive communications from Your Worship the Mayor, I have none. Leaves me to say thank you everyone for attending and it now close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.